All right, welcome back to the Discovering Eden podcast. My name is Brandon,
And I'm Jonathan.
and this week we are taking a look at anime and manga.
Ooh.
Something that I know I have personally gone into and enjoyed,
My threshold is JRPGs.
which is valid.
It's valid, but I haven't seen any shows or really dove into that to a great extent.
Which is perfectly fine. And again, if you would like to see some of these reactions of us kind of going into some of the anime that you may comment down below and advise us to watch, and we can kind of discuss some of our thoughts afterward, which I think is a much more I don't want to say pleasing, but it's a easier way to identify kind of some of the themes and stuff as we see them, as opposed to trying to tackle everything as a whole.
For sure.
Because there's a lot of themes, there's a lot of good stuff, there's a lot of not so good stuff that you can see in there. Obviously, there's different tropes and different genres that are within anime. I mean, that's the same with cartoons and everything as well. So, if you wanted to see a couple, I know I've seen a good amount, not a whole lot, and there's some popular ones I haven't even seen. But we'd be open to watching and kind of doing a review of some of these things. And if you're interested in anything like that, comment down below what we should do and different, I don't know, just different theories that you find interesting or even topics that you would want to actually have us talk about. So we will get into the bumper and we will get right into it. So, Skitoosh. All right, we are back, and we're messing around talking as the video was going, just saying, "Wow, that was awkward." Tried to figure out the button to switch it to the other, and fiddling around, messing it up.
We're technical geniuses.
Awesome, we're great, we're fantastic at this. Anyway, I'll get into a little bit of prayer, and then we can get right into it. So, dear God, thank you that we're able to even talk about some of these kind of things and be able to kind of talk about the different things that we enjoy and the different things that we can find truth in the midst of. And I thank you that we're able to share this with others around us and through YouTube or through different avenues of media. And I pray that, whatever is pleasing to you, that it would resonate, and then anything that isn't important, let it fall to the ground and be forgotten. And I pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So, if I were to ask you, what do you think? What's the first thing you think of when you think of anime?
Japanese animation.
That was quick.
That's just what I feel like is the definition.
I mean, that is a definition. So obviously, you've mentioned to me in passing and different things like that you've had your brother who likes Attack on Titan. And is there any other anime that you've really kind of heard about through the grapevine, or what is there?
The only thing, because I haven't really seen any shows, so I don't have a ton of experience with that. I remember when I was younger, the Studio Ghibli movies, we did watch some of those as kids. Whether those have any themes we could relate to, I don't know. But I remember, we saw... We rented a couple of those from the library as kids, so I do guess I do have some experience in that regard, but not with any of the shows that I know we talked about.
Something like
Ponyo or Princess Mononoke. I've seen a good chunk of those,
and obviously there's deep dives we can do there. I haven't seen Ponyo in literal ages.
It's a cute movie,
so so there's stuff like that. And honestly, when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, it's a Little Mermaid, but different.
But those movies, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation
Yeah.
in of itself. It's a little different than I feel like what we're gonna be
It's
talking.
whimsical. A
It's
lot of
very
a lot
whimsical,
of the Studio Ghibli
which
ones
I think
are
is
very
why I was
whimsical.
drawn to them as kids.
Yeah, especially
Initially,
with the fantasy aspect
yeah,
and everything.
the more the whimsical side of fantasy is what I'm always drawn to. Whereas I know a lot of the shows we're talking about, I haven't even seen. I've heard of them.
Yeah.
That's it.
Obviously, and I'll keep some of these like series to the more kind of popular ones. Now, I'm only doing the ones that I've kind of seen. So there's some of them I haven't even really seen as well. But I just have some written down. And then some of the common themes, I just started jotting some down. I don't know whether they're like other prominent themes. I just thought of at least 3 or 4 that I thought were really good. And then an obvious one because it's a genre in and of itself. So the genre in and of itself is romance. You see that in anime. I mean, it's something that you see everywhere. TV shows, everything. They'll like. I'm a sucker for it from time to time. Is it authentic and real? It's debatable.
What are you saying? It's always real and authentic.
What everything like that? Oh, everything just so happens to come out the thing. Unfortunately, a lot of the things that I end up watching, they turn into a harem, and I'm like, but why? Like,
how did we get to this point?
Why did we need that here? The only ones that make sense are like kind of the kingdom setting ones where it actually makes sense, like politically and all that. I find those fascinating. I'm like, that's okay harem. That makes sense. And then you have the isekais that don't deserve any of the sort, and it's like, but why? But I still watch it anyway because I'm bored. Anyway, but if you want a good romance, Love is War, awesome show. Awesome show. I wouldn't be opposed to rewatching that and watching him react to it because it's hilarious and it's great. End of story. Now on to the actual, themes, because romance is kind of a subplot of a whole bunch of different things. So something is destiny. Destiny flows through a whole bunch of different, or breaking free from destiny.
It is your destiny to talk about the theme of destiny today.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
It's almost like it's a video game title. Whoa. No, but or breaking free from a negative destiny. So one that I thought of immediately when I think of this is Your Name, which is technically a movie, but it's an anime. It's in that genre.
Again, I feel like anything kind of
just like kind of a Silent Voice. I kind of feel Silent Voice and Your Name are kind of the same thing. They're an anime, but it's a movie, but it counts. And obviously that's Your Name. I love Your Name. It's a great movie. Is it a little odd from a Western perspective? Yes. With the whole time travel and your fates being tied together and different things, that ties into more of what I think the Japanese culture and like Shinto and all that kind of thing is relating to, which in all honesty, I am not an expert in. I know things from looking things up, but that's about the extent of my knowledge. And then another theme, discovering yourself.
I feel like that's a major theme in
that's on it. Yeah,
so much, at least young adult literature.
Yeah, anything like that, whether it's shonen or anything like that, you'll discovering yourself. Some of them I thought of: My Hero Academia and One Punch Man. One Punch Man is kind of a tie on that hero narrative, as in what is a hero, what makes up a hero, because he's kind of already at that peak. And just trying to find himself in the midst of it and see what other people's view of heroes are. Obviously, it's a little bit more zany and everything like that. It's more of a comedy, in my opinion, but it's good nonetheless. Is it crazy? Sure. But so is everything. And then one that I see quite frequently, and maybe this is because I delve into a lot of isekai because I like the isekai idea.
Who doesn't? I mean, it even goes back to like, and we'll talk about this when we get into books, but like the Narnia idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that
I
idea
like
too.
the isekai idea. There's a lot of them that suck.
Oh, for sure.
There's a lot of them that just are not good. But there are some good ones. Unfortunately, a lot of them are take the I mean, I won't say unfortunately, but a lot of them take the approach of they start from nothing or start with a quote unquote useless ability that they're given from the god, goddess, or whatever you want to call it, or system if it's a video game, to becoming overpowered and having that ability actually be broken, and then they become super overpowered and somehow end up with a harem. Just because that's how things work. But it's the revenge plot of some of these, because usually there's like an act of betrayal or something like that, or that stems some of these things, or you get Truck-kun that runs you over and you isekai. It's nefarious for being
A truck what?
Truck-kun.
What is that?
People online would understand. It's basically they characterized a truck that isekais people. It's the main vehicle,
Gotcha.
pun intended, of how people go from one world to another.
Getting hit by a truck. Yep. All right, Brandon, hit me with your car. Let's see what happens.
I wouldn't advise.
That's an idea for a future video.
Oh no!
What happens?
Isekai, how it actually
Mythbusters.
happens. How it actually happens. This is actually how isekai happens. Let's just cut.
911? Yeah, no, he's not looking too good.
Jonathan, you okay down there?
No, I'm a pancake.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get the spatula.
I wouldn't be speaking.
The pancake's talking.
Here.
It's a Goomba. Anyway.
Hey, we talked about video games a couple weeks ago. We
Hey,
can't bring it back.
You can always bring video games back. It's related to anime. Some anime are made on video games, including the Genshin one that's soon to be coming. And I play Genshin. So. There. Little thing. Little nod. I play a bunch of different things. I do play a lot of JRPGs.
So do I.
So,
like I said, that's my threshold.
Hey, it's a good threshold. Nothing wrong with that. And so, kind of tying this back to like Christianity and some of the themes there. I did some research, taking into account like kind of where the Japanese religious, like where they stand on like religious ideologies and different things that they believe in. So I looked at the U.S. Department of State 2023 report on international religious freedom as of Japan in Section 1, religious demography, or if I'm even saying that right, I don't even know. I should know. I don't.
Let me see it.
I mean, you could say demography, but I feel like demography is better. But
yeah,
I don't know. Tomato. So 86 or 86. Wow. I'm looking at the wrong thing.
32. Was I right?
No, 42. Come on. Get wrecked.
Okay. I did so much research. You can tell.
So 48.6%, definitely not 86. I completely passed the 4. So 48.6% of people are of the Shinto belief, which is the indigenous Japanese religious belief. And a lot of what encompasses a lot of the cultural things that you see in anime, and whether that's the shrines, the torii gates, all those kind of things, especially with like angels, demons. I find that it's a very spiritualized religion, something that even Christianity never really delves that much into. It's the spirituology, or I don't even know if that's a word, but there you go.
I don't think it is, but we'll go with it.
We'll go with it. But yeah, just like I would say, like ancient Egypt was very spiritual, and Egyptology and the mythology around some of that stuff. I see it very similarly. Now, I am not well versed in Japanese religion and
And
Shinto.
Shintoism. And...
Yeah, Shintoism and all that stuff. But basically all I know is what I see from anime. So obviously you take that with a grain of salt. There's obviously different aspects of it that are different or whatever. Like you see a lot of stuff with like shrine visits at New Year's, different things like that, all the tropes that you see there. And kind of the supernatural things, like especially you have the foxes. Can't shoot. I should know the name of what the fox name is entirely. I know like Ninetales is based off of it.
Pokemon.
The Pokemon, the Vulpix, Ninetales lines are based off of it.
Um,
I should know it. I've watched stuff. I'm just blanking on the name.
Here,
I mean, you have
research.
a phone.
I'll do my research.
Okay, that works.
Ninetales Pokemon based on. Whoops, based eye.
Based eye, yeah, based eye. Kitsune. That's right, Kitsune.
I swear, if it just said fox, I'd be kind of disappointed.
I mean, it is. Yes. It is. It's a mythical, you know.
No, I know
all that. Yeah, Kitsune. I don't know why I blanked on that, but yeah, there's that. But there's like, honestly, I'm really fascinated with a lot of the ancient Japanese or kind of that culture itself. It's very interesting to me. Mm-hmm. Now, is it Christian? Well, not really. I mean, there's a lot of talks, especially particularly surrounding demons. Mm-hmm. Almost to the point where they focus a lot more on demons than anything else, which isn't necessary. I wouldn't say that's a healthy perspective to come at things. Well, at least from a Christian worldview
I think
perspective.
Probably, their perspective is probably obviously very different, on what that is.
And obviously, I
don't know. But
the information and research that I found, I don't think they really take into consideration people that don't classify as religious. Because obviously that's a growing trend, not just in Japan, but especially in America. Yeah. I think right now it's like 24% that are like non-religious in America. And I'd imagine that's still a pretty high number in Japan as well. It doesn't set up with what I have as notes on like a governmental site or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, the second one right behind it at 46.4% is Buddhism. So I know they have, in one of the prefectures, they have like a giant Buddha statue. Not sure where. It was mentioned in Dr. Stone somewhere. I couldn't recall. I could look it up. I'm not going to, but it's there. It's also really, it's like really neck and neck with Shinto as the top religious.
What? It's almost 50-50 for both.
It's almost 50-50, which means the other ones are small. All
right, what's number 3?
Number 3 is Christian, actually. Ooh. Believe it or not. At 1.1%. Oh, yeah. Real high. And to put that into consideration, that's 1.9 million people.
That's a lot of people.
That's 1.1%. 1.1% is 1.9 million people. That's a lot of people. But in the grand scheme of all of Japan, it's not very high.
Yeah.
But I did find it a little interesting that Christianity was number 3.
For sure.
You would think that Confucianism or maybe even Hinduism to some degree would be up there, which they're not. I know Confucianism, Buddhism are really similar.
Sure.
Obviously, Buddhism takes it here. I just find that interesting. And then 4% is other. So menagerie of different religions and different things like that. And which the highest one of those is at 0.45%.
Wow.
Which is something I've never even heard of before, which is the Family Federation for World Peace and Unification.
Sounds like,
Which is at 560,000 people.
Wow. What's it called?
The Family Federation for World Peace and Unification.
Interesting.
Also known as the Unification Church. So it's kind of like an offshoot of Christianity. From some of the little bits I've looked up on it. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure what it is. I think it based out of South Korea and Seoul.
Okay.
I think that's where it based off of, and it's in basically that part of the world. And I mean, I think there's also one in the U.S. as well, like off-branch shoots of it. I'm not entirely positive what it is. It exists. And I guess if you know more about it, you can comment down below. Let us know. But I just kind of wanted to get an idea of what some of it is, because I know a lot of the stuff that we see in anime, and I wanted to see if it is almost reflected in their religious beliefs, which, and a lot of it is. Buddhism, I'm not entirely sure I see a whole lot of. I see a lot more of the cultural side of things.
Sure.
So a lot of the cultural identity of Japan is Shinto.
Yeah.
So you see a lot more of that, which is understandable because it's objectively Japanese.
Yeah.
And some of the ideas make for really good entertainment. Whether that's reincarnation, different things, different aspects of it, Torii gates. I'm not 100% a pro in any of these things, but yeah. And then we get to the Christian perspective, and obviously Christian's like 1.1, so it's not too high, but it exists.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Christian/church representation in anime manga is not entirely a positive one, and maybe that's why it's so low.
For sure.
Or part of it, or maybe they view it as like rejecting their culture, rejecting their traditions and all that stuff. I don't really know. I'm just spitballing. But something that I've seen, at least watching anime, reading manga, is church is often stereotyped as places of corruption, deception, betrayal. Just usually not a positive things. Now, they're not necessarily the same religion that we know, like that the church is.
Well, and one thing I've noticed with this, again, threshold is JRPGs, but what I tend to notice is it isn't the spiritual side itself that is necessarily negatively portrayed, or it's more of
the people,
individuals who are.
It's the people that are corrupting it, or it's that leader that is corrupt, or different things like that.
Which, I mean, we see.
I mean,
we've seen in history itself.
In history, there's definitely been examples of this. So sometimes institutions bad, people are good, and then there's obviously the vice versa.
Sure.
Different things that I've seen. So for the corrupted church, and this goes for different aspects, but the Rising of the Shield Hero. You have, obviously, the church there is more defined to what the weapon type and all that kind of stuff is.
Interesting.
So the thing of the shield, which is more in favor of, like, helping the demi-humans and different things like that. Obviously, it's very different from what the church is in our perspective today. But it's taking creative liberties with that, and obviously it's a little corrupt and ends up being an enemy, as a lot of churches tend to do, is be enemy of the protagonist or something along those lines. And it'll get into one of my future points as well. So Shield Hero obviously also follows the revenge plot, which I think they do a really good job at. And then later, like, I thought season 1, fantastic. And they should have left it there.
Tell us how you really feel.
But I thought they did a very good job with season 1, and they could have done better. They didn't. I thought the manga did a little bit better job than the anime did, just because I feel like they rushed it.
Sure.
Which, I mean, that's the case with, like, anime. and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the case with a lot of TV shows.
Yeah,
and
it's a
stuff
kid.
in
Yeah,
general.
that's a lot of things in general. I know I've mentioned Your Name previously. That ties kind of with the Shinto belief, tying of destiny, the red thread, all those kind of things. Time travel. Not usually a whole huge time travel kind of person.
Yeah,
But
you got to do it right, otherwise
there's ways to mess it up.
it's a very easy plot thread to mess up. Time
Yeah.
travel.
I think they do a good job. Obviously, I feel like it's plot armor for the most part, but it makes for a compelling emotional venture into it, especially in the romance aspect of it.
For sure.
Which, I mean, that's kind of why it's a happy ending. Because a lot, typically, what you'll see with a lot of anime and manga is there's usually happy endings. Now, that I wouldn't say that's necessarily defined purely in Japanese literature, but there's a lot of that, I think, a lot of places because you want a happy result. I can say a couple of manga and anime that I've seen that are not happy endings, and definitely not happy endings. I'm not going to spoil anything, but one of them that is just finishing up like right now is definitely not a happy ending. Definitely not, especially with like trauma, ending it not the most positive way. It's some of that. I mean, it's good stuff for like story wise and investing into like the characters, but from like a story point of view of being a happy ending, it's not a happy ending. And then so Demon Slayer is another one. Again, really popular one. It's the demons again with that, and you see them over and over and over again in a lot of these different things. Obviously, there's other themes as well within Demon Slayer, and it's Tanjiro with his super happy-go-lucky, positive mindset that keeps everybody afloat in the midst of pain and the different embodiments of evil, if you would call it, that happen, especially with the trauma that he's had in keeping his sister safe in the midst of everything that's gone on. It's a powerful one, but obviously that's to bring kind of forth the idea of all the demons and all the spirituality or other aspects of it. And kind of going with the spirituality aspect. So I'm abbreviating this into like because the Japanese title is extremely long for this one. So they put it down to Danmachi. So everybody who knows what Danmachi is, that's Danmachi. And this is like one of the anime that I've seen that incorporates basically any name of a god or a goddess that you can think of. They've crammed it into this story or plot, like especially I would say it's closer to like the Greek and Roman pantheons than anything else. But there's aspects of like Norse, Shinto, all these different other religions, and kind of again looking at the hero narrative of Bell, who is the main character. And just kind of walking through his journey of coming from nothing and eventually turning into the hero that everybody is wanting. A really popular one, Full Metal Alchemist, particularly Brotherhood, because I watched Brotherhood, not the original Full Metal Alchemist. So that one, obviously, you have the homunculus, the Philosopher's Stone, different things like that. Father, like to me, so the person in the beaker or the eyeball in the beaker, and I don't really know how to describe it really. Like to me, that's the devil, and I think embodies it. I mean, almost for a 1-to-1. Especially the powers that he grants basically all those who follow him or are affected by him. So you get from that stems the 7 deadly sins, which you see in a lot of different anime.
Yeah.
You see that, I mean, there's literally one called the 7 deadly sins. I haven't seen it, but obviously that's a premise.
Even, just to add my own little 2 cents, one of my favorite games of all time, Persona 5, main antagonist, every single one, their like dungeon that you go into in the game is inspired by one of the 7 deadly sins, and that's the sin that they're struggling with or whatever, or that they're corrupted with. Just to add my 2 cents.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I'm gonna be talking a lot more in this one just because Jonathan hasn't really seen that much anime or read manga, different things like that. So I know I'm speaking quite a bit, but
you get my facial reactions.
Whoa!
I'll just stay like that the rest of the episode.
There we go. There's the well, I don't know, what do you call it?
Thumbnail.
Yeah, that I don't know why it was blank. It just anyway.
Yikes.
We've gone off of
lost the script.
We lost the script.
We didn't have a script.
So
that's really why it's gone.
It's gone. Yeah, so 7 deadly sins. For that, obviously that's pride, wrath, greed, envy, gluttony, sloth, all those.
Yeah.
All those things. And it's funny because you see that show up quite a bit, and I'm like, that's like a more Christian idea, like Catholic idea of like the 7 deadly sins. And you see that quite frequently.
Oh, for sure.
In anime, manga, or even JRPGs, as he was saying with Persona. And Persona is both a game and an anime.
Yeah, it had an anime adaptation.
Yeah, there's adaptations that are made from some of these. And then something like I said, I was get back to reincarnated as slime. Again, another isekai, but I enjoy it because of the world building and everything like that. But it's almost casting demons in a positive light.
Interesting.
And it's not the only anime or manga to do this, because whether the main character is kind of reincarnated as a demon or different things like that, or they view demi-humans as quote-unquote demons, different things like that. But it's seeing them almost in a positive outlook, which...
I mean,
again, is a little bit more different than what we're accustomed to.
And I have to wonder, like, is that a cultural thing? Are they viewing it more as like, a monster with like kind of incredible power sort of thing? I don't know.
I know, because like Demon Lord is something that, I mean, obviously Rimuru becomes. So spoiler warning. I mean, maybe I should have said that first, but it's been out for a while.
Yeah. Well, and I think when we hear that term, my mind immediately goes towards the negative context. So it is very strange.
So
at
it's
least
strange
from my
that
seeing it.
They see it in a positive outlook. Another one that takes kind of like a little bit of a different turn on things is Overlord. I'm not the biggest fan of the direction Overlord has gone. Other people like it and enjoy it a lot. I just don't think it's teaching very nice or good themes.
Sure.
Because he's basically the person that isekais into this world, this video game world, is becoming more and more evil.
Interesting.
Like his character.
So he's becoming an overlord.
He's becoming his character.
Yeah.
Which is a good idea in concept, but I don't know. They almost look at it, again, in more of a positive outlook.
They spin the evil side of it?
Yeah, because you're looking at it from that perspective.
Sure.
Which, again, makes interesting story, but I don't like what's the message that's trying to come across. Because, again, you see a lot of the corruption of the other people, the church, different things like that. I don't know. You see it a lot. And I mean, obviously, I've seen a lot more isekai. I like isekai. I think it's a great great concepts. Obviously some better than others, but it gets my creative mind flowing, which helps with my own story building.
Well, the very idea of correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea is somebody from our world entering into another world, right? That's the general idea.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah, and
Obviously, there's the inverse of that
for sure.
happens, but
I feel like in most cases it's
Truck-kun doing his duty.
It is an interesting concept, right? Because it gives you the perfect avenue for world building. You've got a character who doesn't know very much, or in most cases doesn't know very much, so it allows the reader to kind of learn about this world with them.
Yeah, it's the world building aspect that I think I like.
Sure.
And then some people just don't build the world or characters, and then you go, "Wow, okay,
what a waste of time."
I mean, I'll still read it because I'm bored. Like, it gets to that point where sometimes I do it just because if the concept is good enough, I'll take a look at it. And some of it kind of helps some of the stories that, like, or the story that I'm writing, and we'll go into that in future weeks. Because I think next week we're going to begin our discussion on books. Whoa. And I know Lord of the Rings / Hobbit is going to be talked about. We're going to be talking about the Chronicles of Narnia.
It's 7
plural. My bad. And then we'll get into the stories that we're actually writing. Obviously they ain't finished yet. Shocker. I wish they were. I've been working on it for who knows how long. Since middle school for me.
Wow.
And it's still been going because I have a life. And guess what gets put on the back burner? Ouch. But anyway, so that's just a little synopsis of anime, manga. Obviously, there's a lot more to it. And something that we would like to do is, if you're at all interested, again, comment down below different anime that you'd love to see us watch and react to. We'd be happy to do it. And just to have an idea of back and forth of kind of what we've seen from a perspective of someone who has seen it or has seen different anime versus somebody
who hasn't really had any experience.
Yeah. So, obviously, again, comment down below. What other topics would you like us to talk about? Different things like that.
Also, if you want to see me get hit by that truck.
Maybe that's a video for the future.
Yeah.
We'll do like isekai.
Does it actually work?
Just do like... Don't isekai off the table now. We don't need that.
Truth or myth?
Where in the world will you end up?
In the hospital.
That's the location. Okay. Well, thank you for listening to our rambling, or at least my rambling, and our shenanigans.
Yeah, I had a few stupid jokes in there.
Yeah. You'll get to talk more in future episodes, buddy. Oh no! He's turtling.
Turtle.
He's turtling.
Yeah, I guess it fits. I mean, it's a green hoodie. It works.
He's just there. He's here for the ride.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully not in the truck. Or maybe he does want to be in the truck. Who knows?
I don't know. I drive a pickup, so... Yikes.
Don't isekai a squirrel now.
Might be too late for that. I've definitely hit a squirrel before.
No, Chippendale. Even though they're chipmunks, I know, but I just thought of an animated character, like some cartoon characters. I don't know. Is there even a squirrel? Oh, I guess Sandy. Sandy's a squirrel. That's the only squirrel I can think of off the top of my head.
There's gotta be another one, but I just don't know what it is.
Anyway, we digress. We will see you again very soon, and we will catch you later.
Bye, guys.
See ya.